Hi, Mom. When you do in-home, I'll tell you the message about this workshop in the field couldn't be more than accurate. When we do in-home, we learn and give our lessons in the field, in the barn, in the basement, in the kitchen, in the garage, wherever our clients are. Sometimes that's because they're busy, and sometimes that's because they're hiding from us. But either way, that's where we head. And forgot to mention that I did start doing in-home in 1981, but I was only 9. The child prodigy, I was really a smart kid. I too can talk fast, so we'll see how this goes. You have a PowerPoint. I'm not going to use it because at 10 o'clock this morning I changed my mind what I was going to say. But I can get you a copy of this. The setting that we work with is in the home. Our client is the family. Whoever the caregiver for the relationship and the child is, that could be a adoptive family, that could be the foster family, that could be the birth family, that could be the kinship placement. It could be a combination of any of the above or below, however that is. Our kids that we work with are 0 to 21 years old, and they all present with some significant mental health problems. Many of them are also in the child protection system, as are your clients. And they're considered the deep-end kids, the kids that have multiple moves, dual diagnoses. They have had interrupted caregiving relationships, multiple experiences of loss and trauma. They're molested, they're hurt, they're starved. Those are the kids that we see. And the challenge for us, of course, is that we're working with their caregivers, many of whom have inflicted the harm. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenge of that. If these families could all get organized and agree once a week to get into a car to go see me in my office, they wouldn't be my client. So in the continuum of care, that's who we work with. Core components of attachment that we work with. First of all, recognizing that the therapist begins to teach attachment strategies to the parent. And the parallel process really is we care and empathize about the mom and the dad to role model for them that it's okay to have pleasure and experience with their child. We also work very much with the understanding of development of the child and attachment as dynamic and development in nature. Intergenerational patterns of attachment. We cannot do family systems work without having a good understanding of the parent experience from their childhood and who their relationships were. And we care about every single interaction with our client is going to have some component of engagement, attunement, and positive experience. I was wondering the other day, can we teach a parent to love their child? The answer is yes, because we know we can learn to love people. And so we certainly can teach it. That's what I think we're all in the business of doing, is teaching the moms and the dads and the caregivers to love their little kids and to find that relationship pleasurable rather than an obligation or a chore. Treatment goals and why in-home is effective. We provide structure. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to go into really multi-problem, chronic, chaotic families, and we're going to wrap our arms figuratively and sometimes not around this family system to get them organized in some fashion, because kids can't attach when they're dysregulated. We're going to do more and say less. And for some of us, that's hard. But because you went to college to learn to talk effectively, I'm going to challenge you, say less, do more with your clients. We're going to teach attunement. We're going to, everything the child does, say to the mom, look at that. Look at what she did. What do you think that means? Isn't that great that she can do that? Can you correctly interpret your child's emotional state through play, through talk, through smiles, through touch, through comfort, and through reframing? We're going to talk about and ensure and demonstrate safety. And when I talk about working with caregivers, the experience is I go in and I look at dad and I say, wow, no parent wants their kids in foster care. I am so sorry. I'm really sorry. This must be horrible for you. Because what I know is that dad is angry, defensive, and ashamed. And I need to demonstrate and role model empathy and attunement with him if I expect him to get it right with his kids. So it's going to start with me, the parallel process. And it's always, always family-centered. Rarely will you find one of our in-home staff doing primary work with just the child. The caregiver is going to be engaged and involved in those because we're not going to raise those kids. We really want the parent caregiver to do that. Challenges. You need to stay in shape physically if you're going to be in-home therapist because you need to outrun the family dog. That's rule number 1. Number 2 is you must always wear cat hair resistant clothing. Always. Don't ever wear anything that needs to be dry cleaned. Number 3, you need to know how to manage chaos, yours and theirs. And some of us tend to be more high energy than others. I am more laid back, but some of my staff aren't. And so we need to understand how we behave when we're dysregulated. As Ann said, these clients invite us to get dysregulated. And we do a parallel process with them that isn't always healthy, but it sure is fun. So what we want to do is go in with a focus and a plan for our sessions so that we know that we can be effective, versus what our client family is going to do is invite us to solve the problem of the week. You're going to walk in and they're going to say, oh, and Johnny did this and this and this and this, and an hour and a half later, we haven't gotten to my plan. Well, think about therapist as alpha. I sort of go with that model because we need to do structure for these people to become regulated, and it starts with us. Another challenge for in-home is we never know who's going to be in the session. Changes from week to week. We always have our target client, and many of our children come in large sibling groups, so the whole sibling group is our client system, but mom might be there, dad might be there, grandma might be there, and that varies greatly, by the way, from culture to culture and community to community. Who gets involved in the Hmong families that we work with in St. Paul and Frogtown is very different than who gets involved in the Native American families on the reservation in Pine County. It just changes, and we need to go with that. Because the final challenge that I have here is cultural competence. We really, really need to care about cultural competence in the context of attachment repair because it looks different, and it should. Okay, case study. Dad. Dad's a recovering alcoholic, self-reportedly sober for 9 months. That's suspect. He has a 7, 5, and a 3-year-old. The oldest is a parentified child who's anxious, depressed, hypervigilant, and great little dad. We have a 5-year-old who's quiet, withdrawn, anxious, and really delayed socially, emotionally, motor skills, speech, language. We have a 3-year-old who is extremely defiant. Everything on her own terms. She refuses comfort except when she feels like she wants it. She won't share. She's demanding. She's mean. She's aggressive. She hurts others. She has severe tantrums, and she's diagnosed as red. These kids have witnessed domestic violence, prenatal exposure to drugs and alcohol, methamphetamine. They get supervised visits with mom twice a week. The referral says, can you help us figure out if dad can parent, and can you do some attachment repair in 3 sessions or less? Well, and the answer is, of course, we do in-home. Sure we can. So I go to this family's house. Then I knock on the door. And the 7-year-old invites me in. Hi, my name is Susie. Would you like to come in? Can I get you some Kool-Aid? The 5-year-old is curled up on the dog bed with the dog in a fetal position, and the 3-year-old is standing in the middle of the kitchen table, on top of the table. Because I'm a trained professional observer, I recognize immediately that dad is not in charge. So I know that I need to provide, rule number 1, structure. That's going to be my job. Now, because I also parent 3 teenagers, I'm invited immediately to come in and take over. But I know that that's not helpful for dad. I have to get dad to take over. So my plan for this session is I brought my own blanket, put it in the middle of the living room floor, and we're going to get the kids to sit down on the floor with the dad. Because even a blanket is practice with limits and boundaries, isn't it? Well, that wasn't going to work because I wanted dad to have each child one at a time, sit on his lap, and he can rub their back, look at their face, see them smile, smile back, say, how was your week? Because they're not living together yet. But the minute the middle child got on dad's lap, the 3-year-old went over and kicked him in the back, and then the youngest child refused to get on dad's lap. So the plan is discarded quickly. 10 minutes into the session, I say, hey, I know, let's play puppy. Kids immediately get quiet. They like to play. That's their venue. Dad's looking more skeptical. But I am dad's attachment relationship at this moment. I'm helping him regulate. I'm sitting right next to dad. Never mind, at this point, all 3 kids, guess what, want to sit on my lap. No. Laps are for moms and dads, not for strangers that you do not know. So I'm saying, Dad, go with this. He's going, yeah, okay. We're going to be puppies, and dad is the trainer. Okay? Dad's going to be the trainer, and puppies are so cute. Then Dad's starting to go with it. Look at, we have this puppy, brown and white spots. Oh, beautiful little puppy. Oh, look at the middle puppy. Oh, what a cute pink nose and a cute little tongue. Now, all three kids who have been very dysregulated are okay, they're on board. So that's what I do after the session. So they're excited and engaged. Guess what happens then? Dad can reach over and start to pet the puppies. Cute little puppy, cute little puppy. Scratch the puppy's ears. Oh, sweetie, what a cute little puppy. First session ends, kids decide therapy's fun. Dad's unsure. Second session, okay? Kid wants to play puppies. Cool. We know the game, we know the rules, because it's important to have rules, okay? So this time, we're going to practice some tricks. Dogs learn tricks. Sit, stay. That's a good thing, because this dad, and I'm not being disrespectful of children, believe me, these kids are out of control in a very controlled, intentional way. And Dad is feeling completely overwhelmed. And so Dad gets puppy treats in his pocket, which are jelly beans, or whatever the holiday that was on clearance at Target. And so he carries them in his pocket, and he says, bark. Oh, good puppy. Touches the puppy, scratches the puppy, plays with the puppy. Good eye contact, lots of physical contact. It's a very sweet thing. They're having a good time. They liked therapy that session. Third session. And we name the puppies, by the way, not their real name. Third session, kids discard their puppy name. They're starting to own their story. I'm really Susie. I'm really David. I'm really Johnny. I'm not Rover and Spot. Okay? We're getting closer to the heart of the matter. And they start to say things like, oh, when I was in the kennel, I was worried nobody would come and get me. Ooh, that's good. Oh, when I was in the kennel, my owners sometimes forgot to feed me. That's better. Now, these kids had been in a lot of therapy prior to my entering. Stonewalled the therapist. There would be no introspection about their earlier trauma. They weren't willing to personalize their experience. As soon as we're talking about a puppy in a kennel, they can tell us their story, which was very neat. So now Dad can say, oh, you know, I'm so glad the day I saw you in that kennel, I knew that you belonged in my house. I will know how to be a good parent to you. And now we can use the word parent instead of trainer. And that will never happen, and I will never forget to feed you, and always, always will take care of you. And the puppies are sitting on Dad's lap, of course, in a calm sort of way. And it's very sweet. So now what we have happen is it's reciprocal, okay? Because Dad is giving them treats, and the puppies have now learned to fetch, which means pick up their clothes, and do tricks, which means put their dishes in the dishwasher or the sink, because puppies are becoming more sophisticated helpers because dogs are good friends of human beings. Okay? So it's a reciprocal relationship experience for Dad and kids, and they're having a very good time. Now, one thing, Dad gets on board with me, not in presence of the children, and says, you know, I think I'm starting to catch on. This isn't about dogs. I said, you're right. You're right. But you know what? Tell me what happened in your life when you were a puppy. What kind of kennel experience did you have? And who was that that took care of your needs? So he gets it, and then he can identify some of his early experiences. And then know what he can do? He can say, I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to do it the same way because that's not working for my kids and it didn't work for me. And it's a very simple intervention, isn't it? You don't need a PhD in anything other than creativity to know to be client-centered, to use yourself to do good attunement, to be very empathic about the work, because this is not simple work, and to care about the whole family system, because now the kids are coming in and they're starting to tell Dad their story, first person, what happened, and Dad can wrap his arms around them and care. Now, there's a lot of other work clearly to be done, and where I'm having Dad draw pictures and send pictures in the mail while they're still in foster care, having him make some calls. I'm having transitional objects in the children's pocket. Remember, when you put your hand in your pocket and you have this little smooth stone, think of me because you're in my heart and that's how I think of you. So there's reciprocity, there's attunement, there's attachment. Isn't that nice? It's very sweet. It's not very psychotherapeutic if you think about, oh, what are our theories? But you know what? It completely is. It is so in keeping with the strategies and the foundation of what we think, and you all could do that. Thank you.